Chapter 14: Why Good Health is Bad for Business. We all know that Washington, D.C. is home of many lobbyists. None of us like how much influence they have over our elected officials, yet somehow overlook the fact that some of the largest lobbying efforts in the country are made by firms representing the food industry. The days of family-run farms growing our crops are long gone. Today, our food is grown by huge agribusiness concerns. According to a 2007 report by doctors Mary Hendrickson and William Heffernan of the Department of Rural Sociology at the University of Missouri, 83.5% of beef, 80% of soybeans, and 55% of flour are produced by the top 4 firms in those industries. A single company supplies the seeds for 90% of genetically modified corn and soybeans. Or consider the dairy industry. Not all dairy products are insane, but how did dairy end up with its own food group while becoming a required part of a balanced diet? Might the $1.4 billion spent on agribusiness lobbying played a part? That's why we need to watch where we get our nutrition information. Is the source driven by science or profits? When the answer is profits, we hear things like the following from the grocery manufacturers of America, the people who are responsible for ensuring grocery stores are as profitable as possible. Policies that declare foods good or bad are counterproductive. Counterproductive to what? Health? Nutrition? Fat loss? A similar platitude is offered by the National Soft Drink Association. As a refreshing source of needed liquids and energy, soft drinks represent a positive addition to a well-balanced diet. None of these statements are backed by science. Again, you will not become clogged if you treat yourself to starch and soda infrequently. But starch and sweets should never be recommended as part of a balanced diet. Food corporations know better than anyone else what the facts are, but they are not going to condemn themselves. Quite the opposite. Food companies aggressively fight any scientific information that threatens their bottom line. Sadly, the crowding out of sound science by money doesn't stop there. Nearly 2/3, or 64%, of the members of national committees on nutrition and food receive compensation from food companies. David Willman at the Los Angeles Times reported that at least 530 government scientists at the National Institutes of Health, the nation's preeminent agency for medical research, have taken fees, stock, or stock options from biomedical companies in the last 5 years. Both the food industry and our government are paid to keep profits high, not to teach us about nutritional science. Don't forget the old adage, it's hard to get people to believe one thing when they're paid to believe another. New heading: Sweeteners, more profitable, common, and dangerous than ever. The most common and powerful weapon in the food industry's arsenal is added sweeteners. The problem has gotten so bad that at the turn of the millennium, the average American ate over 150 pounds of sweeteners per year because food companies add them to at least the following products: all baked or processed foods, almost anything not refrigerated or frozen, low-calorie snacks, weight loss products, beverages, protein bars, low-fat salad dressing, dairy products, corn syrup. Thanks to this sweet saturation, the average American is eating a little under a half a pound of added sweeteners per day. That is a cup of clog every single day. 2 centuries ago, people ate about 1/10 of that. During the previous 99.8% of our history, our ancestors ate none of that. As early as the 1950s, researchers pointed out that the link between sugar consumption and coronary heart disease was stronger than the link between heart disease and the consumption of saturated fats from animal foods. This work, however, was ignored. Sidebar: a note about sweeteners. When I talk about sweeteners, I'm talking about sweeteners that contain calories and that are added to foods. Substances like sugar, high fructose corn syrup, evaporated cane juice, agave, etc. I'm not talking about the sugars already found in natural foods such as fruits. Those are fine for many people. I'm also not talking about natural calorie-free sweeteners like stevia, xylitol, erythritol, or Lohango. Those are fine. I am also not talking about artificial calorie-free sweeteners such as aspartame, sucralose, or saccharin. Those too are bad news. New heading: how did this insanity happen? Food that has all its fat removed doesn't taste very good, and it's hard to sell bad tasting food. So food companies add sweeteners when they remove fat. Combine the government's food containing fat is evil propaganda with the $36 billion of "we have yummy low fat food" marketing, and the result is that nearly a fifth of the average American's total calories comes from sweeteners. The worst part is that we have no practical choice under the dietary guidelines regimen. If foods that contain fat are off the table, then almost everything else has been stuffed with sweeteners. As a general rule, if it's not coming directly from a plant or an animal, then it's been sweetened. Similarly, if it's been packaged or processed in any way, it's likely been sweetened. Even if it doesn't taste sweet, it has almost certainly been altered with at least one of the following: agave nectar, barley malt, beet sugar, brown sugar, buttered syrup, cane crystals, cane juice crystals, cane sugar, caramel, carob syrup, castor sugar, confectioner's sugar, corn sweetener, corn syrup solids, crystalline fructose, date sugar, dextran, dextrose, diatastic malt, diatase, ethyl maltitol, evaporated cane juice, fructose, fruit juice concentrates, galactose, glucose solids, golden sugar, golden syrup, granulated sugar, grape sugar, high fructose corn syrup, honey, icing sugar, invert sugar, lactose, malt syrup, maltodextrin, maltose, maple syrup, molasses, muscovado sugar, panchoa, raw sugar, refiner's syrup, rice syrup, sorbitol, sorghum syrup, sucrose, sugar, syrup, tersicle, turbinado sugar, yellow sugar. Memorizing that list certainly isn't necessary. Just know that any form of caloric sweetener causes clogs. Your body only cares that they're clog-causing caloric sweeteners. To your body, from a hormonal clog perspective, apple juice is basically the same as soda since they both contain about 30 grams of sugar per cup. A weight loss bar with 30 grams of sweeteners in it causes the same clog as a candy bar of the same size that also has 30 grams of sugar in it. And watch out for misleading natural marketing. Unnatural High fructose corn syrup, or HFCS, has been rightfully demonized, owing in part to its high fructose content, 42%. However, the supposedly healthy, natural replacement, agave nectar, contains more than twice the amount of fructose at 90%. Sure, the juice, bar, cereal, and agave may have some additional accompanying nutrients, but that doesn't make the sweeteners within them any less harmful. Dissolving a vitamin pill in a can of soda doesn't make the soda healthy. High fructose corn syrup is especially common in low calorie and low fat products and is especially fattening. Combine this with the recommendation to avoid calories and foods containing fat, and we end up unintentionally eating 10,475% more high fructose corn syrup than we did in 1970. Eating all that high fructose corn syrup is particularly harmful. In studies, rats and people who are fed fructose consistently get fatter and sicker than rats and people who are fed the exact same amount of other sugars. High fructose corn syrup sabotages your ability to feel satisfied by other foods as well. High fructose corn syrup does not have low satiety, it has negative satiety. That's right, high fructose corn syrup leaves you hungrier than if you did not eat it, altering your baseline levels of satiety hormones and driving you to eat more and more over time. High fructose consumption also has a negative impact on insulin and leptin and contributes to an elevated set point. Sadly, it gets worse. New heading: Addicted to added sweeteners. Experts at major research institutions have been quickly amassing evidence about the addictive nature of sugar. Studies at Princeton University show that lab rats that were repeatedly given a high sugar diet and then had it taken away from them experienced behavioral and brain chemistry changes that mirror withdrawal from drugs such as morphine or nicotine. Other studies have found that sugar dependence is similar to dependence on amphetamines. The evidence is piling up. Sweeteners are addictive. Seem like a stretch? Consider this: the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, Edition 4, or DSM 4, defines us as chemically dependent on a substance if we experience at least 3 of the following symptoms in 12 months. 1. Increased tolerance, needing more for the same effect. 2. Withdrawal, significant negative impact if we stop. 3. Overuse, consuming more than is intended to be consumed. 4. Loss of control, having our behavior meaningfully influenced by the substance. 5. Exceptional effort to obtain, going beyond what is reasonable to get it. 6. Over-prioritization, allowing it to interfere with more important activities. 7. Ignoring negative consequences, continuing use regardless of disproportionately negative consequences. Using those guidelines, have any of us ever experienced any of these symptoms in conjunction with our sweetener habits? Withdrawal. Ever tried to give up caloric sweeteners altogether? If so, how did that feel? If not, give it a whirl and you will experience how deeply this substance affects your brain. Overuse. As the University of Washington's Stefan Guillenet, PhD, tells us, in 1822, we ate the amount of added sugar in one 12-ounce can of soda every 5 days, while today we eat that much sugar in every 7 hours. Exceptional effort to obtain. Ever waited in line for way too long at your favorite ice cream place or gone way out of your way to obtain a sweet treat? Over prioritization. Ever been late to an appointment or meeting so that you could run into a Starbucks and get your caramel mocha frappuccino? Common sense and science seem to show sugar addiction quite clearly, but couldn't we say the same thing for any type of food? Though research says no. Nicole Avetta, PhD, a professor at the University of Florida's Center for Addiction Research and Education, tells us that studies show caloric sweeteners are unique in their ability to trigger a series of behaviors similar to the effects of drugs of abuse. She continues, these are categorized as binging, meaning unusually large bouts of intake, opiate like withdrawal, indicated by signs of anxiety, and behavioral depression, as well as craving, measured during sugar abstinence as enhanced responding for sugar. There are also signs of both locomotor and consumatory cross sensitization from sugar to drugs of abuse, i.e., animals fed sugar are more likely to consume amphetamine, cocaine, or alcohol. This unique and terrifying behavior is due to caloric sweeteners' distinctive ability to activate a set of brain and hormonal responses previously thought to be limited to highly regulated drugs. As researchers in the Basic Sciences Division of the Liebherr Institute tell us, an opiate-mediated or morphine-like dependency on sugar has been demonstrated at both behavioral and neurochemical levels. University of Florida researchers add, based on the observed behavioral and neurochemical similarities between the effects of intermittent sugar access and drugs of abuse, we suggest that sugar, as common as it is, nonetheless meets the criteria for a substance of abuse and may be addictive for some individuals when consumed in a binge-like manner. Put plainly, by Bartley Hobble, PhD, professor of psychology in the program in neuroscience at Princeton University. In summary, sugar has addictive-like properties of both a psychostimulant and an opiate. Common opiates include morphine, opium, and heroin. I don't mean to scare you, but for many, understanding and freeing oneself from sugar addiction is literally a matter of life and death. When you switch to sane eating, you will temporarily feel like you are going through withdrawal, because you are. It will take your body a couple of weeks to overcome the chemical dependence caused by the sea of sweeteners you have been led to eat. But I assure you, the switch is worth the effort. After all, who wants to be an addict? New heading: Sweeteners, the next cigarettes? In 1998, Coca-Cola offered schools $10,000 to advertise Coke discount cards to their students. Deeply in need of funds, Greenbeer High School in Augusta, Georgia, invited Coke employees to lecture in classes and added the analysis of Coca-Cola to its chemistry curriculum. The school went on to make all 1,230 students dress in red or white shirts and spell out Coke while they snapped photos to send to Coke executives. Considering how addictive and harmful sweeteners are, why was the Coke stunt considered to be harmless fun, while it would be illegal to do the same thing with other harmful and addictive substances? Can you imagine a group of school kids being asked to create a live depiction of Joe Camel? Researchers have proved that sweeteners and tobacco are both harmful and addictive. They've proved that sweeteners are to diabetes what smoking is to lung cancer, yet the promotion of the former is encouraged, while the promotion of the latter is highly regulated. The rationale cannot be that tobacco is so much more harmful. Tobacco kills only 8% more people, and both industries are even run by the same companies. For instance, in 1970, Philip Morris bought Miller Brewing. In 1978, Philip Morris bought 97% of 7 Up. In 1985, R.J. Reynolds bought Nabisco Foods. In that same year, Philip Morris bought General Foods. 3 years later, in 1988, Philip Morris bought Kraft. In 1990, Philip Morris acquired Jacobs Suckered. In 1988, Philip Morris bought Kraft. In 1993, Philip Morris bought Nabisco. And the list goes on and on and on, with tobacco giants consolidating their holdings of food companies. Sweeteners and tobacco are even rationalized the same way by industry insiders. Here's how both describe the safety of their products. Tobacco. I believe nicotine is not addictive. From Philip Morris Tobacco Company president. Insane food products. Soft drinks do not cause pediatric obesity, do not reduce nutrient intake, and do not cause dental cavities. From the National Soft Drink Association. They even share the same marketing tactics. Tobacco. The base of our business is the high school student. From the Lorillard Tobacco Company. Insane food products. We always have kid-related programs. From the vice president of McDonald's. And finally, on health. Tobacco. We believe that the products we make are not injurious to health. From Tobacco Industry Research Committee. Insane food products. Actually, our product is quite healthy. Fluid replenishment is key to health. Coca-Cola does a great service because it encourages people to take in more and more fluids. From Coke's CEO. Tobacco. We accept an interest in people's health as a basic responsibility paramount to every consideration in our business. From Tobacco Industry Research Committee. Insane food products. The soft drink industry has a long commitment to promoting a healthy lifestyle for individuals, especially children. From the National Soft Drink Association. Since tobacco and sweeteners have so much in common, it seems odd that one of these is treated like the plague, while it's fine for the food industry to spend hundreds of millions of dollars per year advertising sweets to our children. Particularly when psychologists have shown that before the age of 8, children do not see commercials as marketing, they see them as fact. Consider the study from the Journal of Marketing that showed 70% of 6 through 8-year-olds believing fast foods are healthier than food prepared at home. Kelly Brunell, PhD, former director of the Rudd Center for Food Policy and Obesity at Yale University, reports, a study of Australian children ages 9 to 10 indicated that more than half believe that Ronald McDonald knows best what children should eat. Brownell's research also reveals that the average American child sees 10,000 food advertisements each year just on television. Children watching Saturday morning cartoons see a food commercial every 5 minutes, and the vast majority are for sugar cereals, fast foods, soft drinks, sugary and salty snacks, and candy. What's the moral of the story? Food companies are not going to stop with sweeteners, nor can we rely on our government for help, as it's the very source of the guidelines that leave us no practical choice other than to be slathered with sweeteners. So now let's talk about how we can take our sanity back.